Oh. Now, as far as Asheville TV is concerned, it was pretty much public access
Yeah, it was public
community
access.
TV.
Oh, yeah. Anybody from the community could become a member and could pretty much produce any show they wanted.
And what station was that?
URTV, and it was on Charter Channel 20.
Charter Channel
And
20.
we had gotten a grant and got on the internet for a short period of time. In fact, you can still find my show on the internet on YouTube if you go URTV Mad Monk.
URTV.
Yep.
URTV.
And URTV lasted for about 5 years before the city and the county stopped funding it through the Pell Grant. They decided to use the money for their government channel and the educational channel and got rid of the public part of PEG.
Now, something that we do here on this station, and me myself, it's a real drive for me as far as getting information out to the public is try to catch those little corners of what's going on in the parts of the city that folks don't usually dig up. You know what I mean? Those little cracks that folks don't usually peek into, and talk about those little things. And, some of that recently, and especially this time of year, has to do with, the street life and the street culture and a lot of the politics and the tug and pull that exists in downtown Asheville. And I know that you have been here for how long now?
Well, September will make 14 years.
14 years.
Yeah.
And what brought you here?
What brought me here was the Lord said, go to Asheville.
That's it? I mean, where were you?
Pretty much.
Where did you come from?
Actually, I come from Henderson County. The ministry started with me walking with a set of signs saying basically repent. Then I came here back in September 13 years ago. This September will be my 14th anniversary here in Asheville. In fact, when I first got here, my funding comes strictly, off the streets, the love of people, and I decided to start busking. And at that time, Asheville used to have a permit process of $25 for a year.
Yeah.
And the day after I got my permit, the city decided to pass their panhandling ordinance and got rid of the permits.
Wow. Well, what do you think about what's going on as far as the street performance now? Do you think it's too much for the city?
No, actually, I don't see as many buskers as I used to see now.
That's what you feel?
Yeah. Now the last year I haven't been out.
Do you feel there are more
as much.
people though?
People as far as visitors.
The crowds and
yeah.
visitors.
It's about the same. It's always. Since I've been doing it this time of year through fall, it's been a pretty busy time for downtown.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I can remember, it's been really busy. To me, it feels like the last year, maybe just the last year, has gotten a little busier. And, and I know that the hotels that are being built are going to bring more people, and I'm fully aware of that. I wonder and I worry about our buskers and the sizes of their crowds and how we're going to deal with those issues that come up, like folks standing in the middle of the street, the bus having to honk at people to go by, And I know that I'm guilty. I am very, very guilty. I block the sidewalk.
Yeah, I'm the type busker that I get you as you go by. I'm not really that talented. I can juggle 3 balls. I'll do that sometimes, and sometimes I'll do my kanju. So my issue is I don't have that issue, but I do see the issue. Because a lot of times, especially in front of Spirit Techs, it would get large crowds.
Right. I mean, like bands like ours, Ain't Nothing Much, Carolina Catskins. These are full bands and big acts, and so they're drawing some decent-sized crowds, and where are these folks going to stand? If folks are already standing in the street, where are folks going to stand when 7 or hotels open?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I've always been in favor of taking Asheville from Friday morning or, say, noon till Sunday evening and making downtown basically the borderline that they used to do bell share. If downtown is going to continue getting tourists and to attract tourists, number one, you need the buskers because that is the main reason. A lot of people come to see the nuance, the flavor of the city. I mean, otherwise you can go to any town and find antique stores and stuff. But I've kind of like to see Asheville just take the weekends from spring till fall and just shut down the traffic. It solves the safety issue of people standing on the streets. It would allow more tourism because it would give a freer, I don't know the word, kind of like a base to it. Because I think if Asheville is going to focus on tourism, especially downtown, then they need to start taking that tourist mind. Unfortunately, one of the things that I see is I've not seen, since I've been here, anyone with tourism experience actually on the city council to help them direct Asheville downtown in that way.
I'm personally a little taken aback by the fact that the CVB and the city don't have better communication between each other. I feel like there needs to be some resolution there, and they need to be invited to more of each other's meetings and get-togethers because it's an extremely important part of any kind of city regulation to take into account what's coming into town.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I was glad that they included the Buskers Association in that last group that they did. It wasn't
for the Haywood Street Advisory Team.
Yeah.
Our Busker advocate for the Haywood Advisory Street Team will be Andrew Fletcher, and I'm really happy with that. He's a very well-spoken, educated man, and I'm really proud to have him on our team working with the Buskers.
Well, I'm glad that they included it. At first, it was just 15 people were going to be on the board. And then the city council had brought up the fact of the Buskers and did add them to it. I think that it would have been a mistake not to.
Well, the truth is that, at our last stakeholders meeting, we were talking about public space. They had brought up the issue of painting boxes on the sidewalk for buskers to stand in. And this is a huge issue because, besides the fact it's completely creatively defining and defiling, it just doesn't solve any problems. It actually doesn't solve any issues.
The 4 by 5 foot box that they wanted to have in front of the Woolworth, would maybe 2 people would have been able to stand there.
Right, and please don't get me wrong. I do understand that Woolworth is one of those pinch points. That's probably the spot where folks are actually in the street the most, obstructing traffic when there is a band there. And I end up playing there a decent amount of time. And I do know that Woolworths loves it. We bring them all sorts of customers and folks hanging out and getting sandwiches and whatnot, and all the photos of all the things in the windows and their background and consistent uploads. Yeah, it's good for the businesses too to have us nearby.
Oh yeah, because you become a draw, especially the Woolworth one. I've bussed there too, and I would see the people would stop, listen to the bands, and then the next thing they're going in either to get something to eat or to go look at their artwork. It's a good compatibility. It's just like you said, the issue of people being on the streets. But I think that can be resolved without having to make everything so small.
So you've been here a while, so watching things change, and I believe that perhaps you have a unique perspective, not only because you're an intelligent person, but because you obviously look at things and you try to look at things in a lot of different lights, I feel.
Well, I try to step outside the box.
Right. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Asheville's uniqueness and how Asheville stands out from other cities of its type or other college towns. Like, what do you think those things are? Outside of busking, even.
Well, outside of busking, you have the draw with the Biltmore House, which brings a lot of visitors that want to come see it. But to be honest with you, I think it's the people of Asheville. Most people that I find are friendly. Um, there's a it's kind of hard to define the culture of Asheville because
But there's
it's such a
so
blend.
many
That's it. There's so
different
many
people,
different.
you know, like you go to Athens. Athens is, you know, what, a similar sized town, and it's a college town, but there isn't us.
Yeah, it's kind of like trying to compare an egg being cooked to a souffle. I mean, we are a souffle when you look at it. We are so unique because we are such a blend of people. You have everything from the dready kids to the straight mom and dad to work, 5 days a week. I mean, it is just such a uniqueness. You can find, well, the saying was, you can find anything in Asheville. And it's pretty much become that culture. An example, I love listening to you play spoons, but I don't remember anywhere I've ever been in the United States where you see the diversity of buskers and the diversity of the music in busking. And I believe that's because you have, different people, different backgrounds that are doing it.
So many creative people here, and it seems like there's just something here, maybe something in the air, something under the ground, something that just draws people here like a magnet, that have that creative spark.
Well, I think it's part of it. I think, as you say, the creative spark. I call it the spirituality of an area.
Yeah.
From my understanding, to the Cherokee nations, Asheville was considered a blessed valley. In fact, if you could not conceive a child, you would come to this area. It does. It has a draw, just like, Pritchard Park. When you look at that little park, it's just a triangle. It really is not that big, but it has such a draw for the homeless. I mean, that's of all the places of Asheville, it just seems like that's the area they're drawn
It's like the
to.
Village Green.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah,
It's the Village Green.
Because if you notice, you got the little Pritchard Park that everybody's drawn to, and then you got this nice $25 million park that they built next to the city hall,
And
nobody's there. It's just, I do believe that there are sacred places to those who believe in nexus, which are cross points. And I believe that there are at least 13 cross points just in this one area of Asheville.
Well, then let's take it back to that Haywood Street advisory team. If that empty lot becomes a park, do you think that park might also become a mecca of sorts?
I think so, and it would give an opportunity because of the location of that park would give a nice little spot for buskers to be. To me, I believe in using local talent. I believe, like Pritchard Park, I don't think that there should be a Saturday that goes by without music being in that park, because you have the quality, you have the essence of music in this city.
Now, they're going to be restructuring Pritchard Park and doing some repairs in Pritchard Park. And they've talked about, maybe I can pull it up, they've talked about moving the drum circle for a moment. Have you heard anything about that?
They were talking Friday. I overheard a couple of the people that are over the drum circle, and they're discussing where they can temporarily be while the park is being redone. One of the things that I will be bringing to the City Council of Asheville is because at one point, because one lady wanted to stop the drum circle, the City of Asheville took it over. Now, when I first came here, the drum circle was, such flavor because you had such combination of people. But when the city took the permitting over to save the drum circle, one of the rules is no longer dogs can be brought into the park during the drum circle. Well, part of the flavor of it was the counterculture, and a lot of the rainbows and that have dogs. Well, because of the rule of no dogs, they pretty much don't show up anymore.
It excluded a lot of the rainbow kids and travelers.
So it's kind of, to me, coming from the history of being at that drum circle for 3-4 years and just seeing the power in the drum circle to today, I see it going from it being a community to being nothing more than a tourist attraction. Now, I know that we need stuff to draw tourists, and I have no problem with them being there, but I would like to see it also go back to that community essence that it once had. and the flavor. To me, it's like the difference between going to a nice French restaurant or going to the hospital. Which meal do you really enjoy?
Yeah, you're right. You are right. So, do you read the Asheville Grit?
Unfortunately, no. I've heard of it, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
You're not missing much, don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Now, the Asheville Grit has this article here, and that they put about train kids, and the opening tag on it says, "When you see bum trash and tags everywhere, that's where you sit and wait for the train. A look inside the eternal American train kids culture." The article itself kind of upset me, and I can send you this link, and I think I might post this here on Busker Broadcast Facebook page if you guys are interested in catching a link. You can catch it there. But to me, the article seemed extremely one-sided and kind of painted the traveling culture as a bunch of drunk, violent people. And it kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. It seemed like it wasn't well researched, but it kind of goes to show some of the attitudes that some of the locals have about our traveling counterparts. And me being one of those traveling counterparts, I did that for a very, very long time. I'm very proud of it, and I would do it again.
Unfortunately, there's a saying, those who do not remember their past is condemned to repeat it. That same attitude was in Nazi Germany during the reign of Hitler. Everybody knows about the 6 million Jews who were killed and incinerated, but a lot of people don't know that, guess what, buskers and gypsies and the mentally ill and stuff were thrown in those ovens too. In fact, I was jokingly talking with a couple of buskers about the fact of, well, get prepared to be thrown in the ovens. Because I think it's jealousy more than anything, because buskers, traveling kids, and that have more freedom than the person who's got to get up every morning, go to a job, come home. There is a freedom to being a traveling kid. And I think if anyone, like I said, I look from things from outside the box, but I also get in the box. And I think that if you're going to do an article, especially about train kids, counterculture, something that you yourself don't know, you should come to know them before you start writing about them.
Yeah, it takes more than an interview or two.
Most of the kids that I meet, and I've met a lot, and are good, well-behaved kids. They have grown up in a counterculture environment. That's what they know, most of them. And they're no different than any kid you'll meet coming out of high school or college. It's just they live a different lifestyle.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I personally have rode trains and traveled with folks who are published authors and made a lot of their money, over the internet while traveling. Photographers, same thing. Who are accomplished folks with a career that just happen to live out of a backpack for, so many months out of the year or even the whole year. And, so to me, it just really seemed like the whole circle wasn't shown within this article. And it just kind of made me a little sad, to read it and to see this negative view perpetuated in such a way.
Well, unfortunately, all cities have to have, an income to run. And unfortunately, like I said, I wish there was someone on the city council who had an understanding of tourism so that they can understand it. You don't just want all the rich to come. What I used to really love about Asheville is you had such a diversity of the visitors. You had everybody from the rich to the poor. And a lot of these busker kids, they come here, they make what we used to call in the old times traveling minstrels. And that's how they travel. They go from city to city to enjoy the culture, to give back to the culture by their music or by their dance or by juggling. In fact, I'm hoping he comes back, the one that juggles like 8
Alex the Super Juggler.
Yeah. In fact,
you can look him up. He's awesome.
He is. In fact, if anybody ever wants to know where I got my juggling balls, he's the one who gave them to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, That's one thing that I love about the busking culture here is that the way it spurs intelligence and creativity and learning and education, music education, arts education, in such a way, it gets you excited about learning these things and doing these things, and that's fun. It's really fun.
In fact, some of the bands that come, they might go to the Orange Peel. They may have a concert at the Orange Peel, but what they do to supplement their income is they'll get on the streets, and they'll play their instruments, to make that a little extra income. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I have more respect for them than I do a lot of people, because they are taking their talent, and instead of waiting for someone to, quote, discover them, they're willing to get out there and give you high quality. And I've listened to a lot of the bands, and a lot of the bands are really high quality, but they're willing to get in front of you. It kind of reminds me of the Christian church back in the 70s. These Christian artists would come into town, and they would put a basket at the back of the concert hall for love offerings. They charged nothing for the concert, but if you liked it, you could leave something at the back. And that's the same thing with busking. If you walk by and you like what the person's doing, you give them something. If you don't like it, you just keep on walking.
Right. Well, and that is also what you call survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Either you practice, you get better, or you go do something else. And I hope everybody, doesn't just give up so quick, because sometimes it does take a few times coming out to really get the swing of it. I mean, me, myself, and I was terrible at one point. I was awful. People would give me dollars out of sympathy.
I know that feeling.
And we all start somewhere. Even the best buskers on the street started somewhere.
That's it. And like I deal with the street culture. I minister to this, my calling is on the streets. And one thing is because of Asheville's anti-panhandling ordinance. And I personally have challenged the city on that, because I believe that if someone's in need, I would rather them ask me, can you help me, than rob me. And because I'll gladly, if I've got it, I'd give it, But at the same time, I have more respect for the buskers, because at least they're willing to try to do something to give back to the community.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the travelers who are on the street and passing through town, I would much rather somebody be trying to do something creative, whether it's making music or a product or whatever it is, than ask me for money. Sure,
Yeah, because
of course.
To be honest, because when I look back over the years, most street traveling kids that I've seen, I very rarely see them just bumming for money. Usually they're busking, or they're making stone necklaces, something to give back.
And it's really, really hard, and busking is the simplest way. But outside of busking, if you're a traveler and you were trying to find a way to create an income and a career for yourself and still be able to continue traveling, that is an extremely, extremely, extremely difficult thing to do. And those who can do it and do it are few and far between.
Unfortunately, because more and more cities are becoming anti-busking. They're
anti-busking, anti-vending. They shut down. Like here, if you want to vend anything on the street, to contact your Asheville Downtown Association, and you end up filling out an application for a cart, and it has to be certain dimensions and certain things, and they assign you a spot.
Yeah.
And it would be cool to have a center place where folks could come out and lay out a small blanket.
Well, see, like me, what I do is I have to learn to work within the system. Now, at one time, I make what I call sloppy art, and I take stones and I wrap them, to sell. And I used to have a walking stick, and all my stones used to be on the stick, and if somebody liked it, I'd just unhook it that way. Because if you're just sitting down, in fact, we've had people that have been harassed because they'll be sitting down and they'll be working on stones, and then they're being told they can't do that. I'd like to see, you remember I don't know if you remember, but I remember the days to where you had the cigarette lady that would walk with kind of like a tray, and she would sell her cigarettes. And see, for me, that would be perfect if I could just have a tray, have my display on the tray, and walk around. When you're stuck in one place, you have to wait for them to come to you. But if you can walk around, and because like you said, those carts are not small.
Now the other side of this is this. What about the store owners who say things like, I pay taxes for my space? There shouldn't be somebody directly in front of my store selling the same thing I'm selling.
I can understand his point, or the store owner's point, that if you're selling the same product.
And that's the reason why they assign spots for the carts, is so that they can, they don't have the guy selling T-shirts next to the T-shirt store, so on and so forth. Incense next to the incense store.
That's kind of funny because when you drive down what I call restaurant rows, like if you go down Patton Avenue and you go west, when you cross that bridge, what do you got? You got restaurant after restaurant after restaurant after restaurant.
Yeah.
That line the entire street.
Yeah, I live
now,
over there.
To me, I look at things logically. So if you're going to say, oh, it's not logical for someone to be standing in front of my store selling T-shirts when I'm selling T-shirts, then where's the logic of putting a burger joint next to another burger joint? I mean, it's still competition.
But see, with busking, I feel like the more talented the buskers come out, the better all the buskers do. Yeah. And I feel that, and I use Nashville, Tennessee as an example very, very often because I spend a lot of time there. And in Nashville, you have a lot more panhandling. And it's very, very obvious on the street. And because there aren't a lot of advanced bands that are consistent in downtown Nashville, for whatever, there's many different reasons. But it seems like the street community doesn't really have anyone to look up to. And so you see things that you don't see here, which is, the guy with one string on their guitar. The guy, you know what I mean? Like the super drunk, I'm obviously not using this instrument to you know what I mean? Like those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And you don't get that here. You just don't see those folks setting up at Woolworth or this or that, And those things impact each other in a very dramatic way,
Yeah, that's true.
But so as far as panhandling goes, if you're walking down the street in Nashville and you get panhandled and panhandled and panhandled, by the time that they get to us and we're an actual band and we're actually doing something, or you're the guy with the guitar, they've got their blinders on. They don't want to look at you. They're scared you're going to ask them for money. They're just going to keep going. But if what they see is, oh, well, that's cool. Well, that's cool. Well, now they're excited to go around the next corner. They want to see what's there. It's not, oh, who's going to ask me for something? It's, oh, what's over there?
Well, that's why I encourage, even if anybody can tell a joke, anybody can go get a joke book from the library. My encouragement is to anyone is to not just gimme, gimme, gimme. If you're not giving back to the society, then all you do is become a drain. Like you said, you become a drain to where people just take a blinder and they don't want to see it. The interesting thing is a lot of the stuff you see in Asheville, you don't even see in your own hometown because you put a blinder to it. But when you come to a tourist town, to where you're looking at what does the city have to offer, and we do want to offer the best. All I ask from people is. Mona used to be a good example. Now, she used to panhandle, but how she would panhandle is she would tell a joke. She'd walk up to somebody and just get them cracked up. Then she might say, can you help me out? That to me is just as much busking because her form of art was comedy, but she was giving to the community. But unfortunately, now, I don't know if Asheville's still enforcing it as much because I am noticing some of the bands are now being able to have their little signs. At one point, Asheville, you couldn't even put the name of your band in front of your spot.
Okay, well, I can tell you the history behind that one because I went through that all last year. And that is that you can have a sign with your band name. You cannot have a sign directly asking for money. So in the past, over the last few years, when the police have told bands that they couldn't have a sign with their band name, that was false. They could have.
Oh, okay, good.
And that has been the law for a long time, and the Buskers Collective has made that clear, and now the police do not mess with folks signs with their band names.
Okay, because I've been
anymore.
asking around to just make sure.
But it was a miscommunication. You know, it's not like the police were trying to do, you know,
No, they're just being told
be
what they're-
vicious or anything like that. I want to make that clear too. That's not the case whatsoever. It was just a misunderstanding, and we got it cleared up. And now you can have your band name.
Well, good. I mean, most of the officers, especially the ones downtown, know me, and they know that I stand up for them as I stand up for anybody. Cause,
Right. Our officers aren't bad.
No.
Not at all.
The biggest problem in Asheville as far as police officers is the turnover rate. So there's this constant learning curve, especially you know, when you start working downtown, you have the learning curve of learning who the nuisance people are and those who are not.
It makes it easier for me when the police in the downtown beat are consistently the police in the downtown beat for that reason, to know who the nuisance folks are. Then they kind of get an understanding as to, you know, where people are coming from, and especially in a city like Asheville, where let's be honest, folks, in Asheville, you've got a lot of folks out on the street that look like they are homeless but aren't, and vice versa. You know, and so it's important for a police officer to know his surroundings.
Yeah.
It is. It's very important. And it's very, very tough on those who are just suddenly thrown into the mix for whatever reason, and they don't know. It takes a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a few of the officers that have really gotten good. It's just, you know, I look at it at the aspect of they're doing what the city of Asheville tells them to do, and I am liking the fact that the city of Asheville is working with the association because it's kind of like public access when it started. It was started by a bunch of artists, which had no business, pretty much no business common sense. And the lack of communication between the city and the county and your TV, I think, is what finally brought it down, because they didn't understand the artist culture. I mean, you know, the city council has a job to do, but it's not just for one select part of the society. You have to focus and look at what's best overall for the community, without restricting the rights of the individual. But there does come a time that when you, like, I'd like to see the drum circle stay till 12 o'clock. Most people, I think it still ends at 10. Unfortunately, I have to leave at 8:30 because my last bus goes back home at 9, so I don't get to stay for the whole drum circle. But I would like to see the nightlife in Asheville usually keeps going until 2 o'clock in the morning. Because question on that, what time do the buskers have to quit busking?
Buskers in Asheville stop at 10 p.m.
See, there again, I'd like to see on the weekends that them at least have the same hours that the local pubs have, or actually an hour after the pubs.
Now, it's interesting that you say that, because that is actually part of our Asheville Buskers collective proposal coming up. We've got a few ideas of our own that we're hoping the city will consider, and part of that is extending a few of those hours, or either across the board or in certain spots. And I'm hoping and I'm thinking that it'll work out. So
I think it would. I think if anything, they should do a test for at least a month to see, you know, what ripple effect staying till, like, say, 2:30, to allow the buskers to be able to get the crowd as they're going back to their cars.
definitely. All right, well, I think that I'm going to play a little bit of Tuba Skinny here for a second and get up, stretch my legs, and grab me a gulp of water. Tuba Skinny is a New Orleans horn band that was here last month, and they rock. So check them out. You can find some videos of them on YouTube, and they play a lot on Royal Street down yonder. I'm going to play the Memphis Shake, and maybe a Midnight Blues after that, and Chris and I will be back to poke at you a little bit more and get you thinking. All right, here you go. Hey, folks. You are listening to WPVM 103.7 FM in Asheville. You can listen online at WPVMFM.org. And we've had Chris, the Mad Monk of Montford, here hanging out with us, and it's been pretty fun. He's a pretty wise man. He's been here for a while, and he's very observant, so it's kind of fun to hear his perspective on things. And if you see him around town, you should stop and say hi and tell him you heard him on the radio. And
Yeah, because I'd love to talk to people. That's one of my big things is,
yep.
yeah. I can talk for hours.
Now you can see, if you haven't talked to him before, that he is a very, very friendly person.
Yeah, I know. I had one guy come up, and it's mainly because of the way I look. I've got a beard dread that's probably 2 feet long. I've got a back dread that's probably 2.5 feet long that looks like a big beaver tail. And I'm a Nazarite monk, so I have my own style of a habit. And I had one guy that says, "You're kind of scary until we get to know you," And I just enjoy people, and I enjoy watching people, what's going on around in Asheville, and I enjoy definitely listening to the Buskers. I'm kind of like the pain in the tail to the Buskers, though, because I do kind of like to enforce the, hey, you've been here 2 hours, give somebody else a break. I'll come back with rotten eggs and I'll juggle, and I'm a lousy juggler, and usually they'll take it as a joke and move on. But Asheville, one thing I like about Asheville I have only been to New Orleans once, and there was this attitude of ownership of your spot. And I would say 95% of the people that busk here in Asheville, they realize that other people have to earn a living too. So it's you go to a spot, you come back to that spot a couple hours later, you'll usually find someone new, and that's enjoyable. And I especially know that when I was here, they used to have the 1 hour rule, and it was basically a protection back in the day when you had to buy a permit for the buskers as well as for the store, because I do remember the days of people that would just play one song over and over and over, and it did give the store a chance to say, okay, your hour's up, please leave. But at the same time, if a store didn't like buskers, I won't name the one, but they tried to put a restraining order on me, and the judge told them no, he couldn't do that the streets are the people's property, not the store owner's property, and the sidewalks. And so he kind of learned to leave the buskers alone and let them make their living, because like we do. We are the buskers, the counterculture people. I mean, that's what downtown was sold on. I mean, it really was. That's what revitalized downtown, was the counterculture more than anything, because Asheville became well, if you want to see what counterculture's like, go to Asheville. And in fact, they used to advertise in way to San Francisco to come move to California, to Asheville. So like I said, we have a diversity not just in our population, but in our busker population.
Oh, yeah. I want to say that most of the folks that you see downtown during the summer do not live here, or not from here, or primarily don't live here the majority of the year.
Yeah.
Or they're just seasonal. And so that kind of goes to show how important it is to have an unregulated, permit-free kind of situation. We don't want to keep that creativity from free-flowing through our streets, because that would stifle.
Yeah, I don't want to see. I mean, at one time I thought about it, but I don't want to see Asheville go back to the permitting status, because it would hinder a lot of people. A lot of these kids travel because they want to see our country. In fact, the best job I ever had was I worked for Ringling Brothers and Barnum & Bailey Circus for about a year. I only got paid like $125-$30 a week, but I got to see this great nation. I was with Red Unit, so I got to travel all over the East Coast and got to see people and places I had no idea. In fact, I was just doing some studying. Most people know about the internment of the Japanese during World War II. But what a lot of people don't know is there was just as many German Americans who helped found this country that were that the same thing happened to. And by my traveling with Ringling Brothers and meeting those people and learning their history. In fact, I think if you talk to some of these street kids that travel, you might learn of more places to go to. I mean, because
Definitely. Definitely. All right, folks. Here in a second, I got some folks from Eustis, Florida I'm going to give a call to. They're having a Buskers Fest down there.
oh,
Yeah.
my friend's down there.
There's a huge grand prize. And we have these buskers that are here. And there's a handful of buskers, I think, have applied from Asheville. But I know of one set of buskers in particular are those kids, the Buskets, the two kids with the classical guitar.
Yeah.
They're applying for the junior division. They want to go to the Busker Festival.
Maybe that's something that could replace Belshare.
Ooh, a Busker Fest?
Yeah.
And we've thought about it. I think definitely once we get our situations handled with our laws and ordinances, that is definitely something that's at the top of the list as far as a to-do list for the street culture here.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that does make me wonder about Asheville is now you got all these great restaurants. I remember when the focus was get these great restaurants here, and now we're bringing in the breweries. Well, I think that a great thing that goes with good beer and good food is good music.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all hand in hand. It's all symbiotic.
That's it.
It's all symbiotic.
You'll say, and you scratch my back, and I'll scratch yours. And hopefully, as the association gets more involved with the business owners, that maybe they can rid them of the fear that they're taking their money from them. Because they're not. Because if it wasn't for the entertainment of Asheville, we would, especially in downtown, without the entertainment, without the people, Asheville would dry up again. I mean,
definitely.
I mean, that's what revitalized Asheville was the buskers and the street kids.
And the Belshare Festival
Oh
itself.
yeah, this one young man that I just met, Counterculture. He asked me where the places were to go. I mean, because he had been here 10 years ago, and unfortunately, Lexington Avenue used to be the place to go if you were counterculture when I first got here. Unfortunately, as things change, it's not as much. But I think that if the city will focus on the whole community, then the whole community will get their needs met.
I think things are going to be okay as long as folks keep letting their voice be heard.
That's it.
So, amen to that.
And the fact that we have freedom of the press. One of the things I tell people.
And community radio.
Amen. Because, see, people talk about freedom of speech, but let me tell you something. We lost a lot when we lost URTV because, see, right now I'm getting to everybody downtown gets to hear my voice. Whereas if you know me, and I do have a loud voice, the most I can carry is Pritchard Park without the technology of today. And freedom of speech is great, but we must continue and we must fight for freedom of the press, the airwaves, to be able to speak to the whole community and not just little parts.
Definitely.
All right. And if you'd like to see what I look like, check out city council meetings. I usually will try to say something at the end of the meetings.
And I've posted, and you can look on YouTube, but I have posted on our WPVM and Busker broadcast pages a link to your TV Med Max. And if you're interested in poking around and seeing what's up with that and how that worked, and if any of you who are technologically advanced and know what we are talking about and know how to somehow create as something like URTV to come back to us, please let us know, because that's a pretty awesome thing and we miss it very much. So,
well, I've been having a great time, and unfortunately I need to earn a living, so I need to go out to downtown Asheville, which is...
Are you going to go in front of Woolworths?
No, I may go in front of Spear Tax or...
Right.
It's being an individual.
So you're listening, come down and hang out with Chris.
Yeah, watch me.